everyone. Welcome back to the Queen Stage Cycling Podcast. I'm Molly Hurford here with Betsy Welch for a holiday bonus episode with the incredible Lael Wilcox. Betsy, give us the rundown on the amazingness that is Lael.
It's actually quite hard to list all of Lael's many accomplishments. It's perhaps easiest to start with the fact that last summer she set a Guinness World Record for the fastest circumnavigation of the globe by bicycle by a woman. She did that in 108 days. In the following podcast, we talk to her a lot about her upcoming summer adventure, which dovetails nicely on last summer's Around the World ride. So you'll have to keep listening to hear about that. But Lael was nice enough to check in with us from her home in Tucson, where she is spending the winter riding, training, and staying healthy for her next big adventure.
This is a bit of a departure from our usual road race coverage because obviously, like we said, Lael is more ultra endurance bike packer. But I mean, honestly, her story is so incredible that we couldn't not talk to her. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, we have some really cool stuff in store for 2026 that it's going to be a little more adventurous on this podcast, I think. Obviously, you and I, Betsy, we're more comfortable with the dirt, the gravel, we'll say. We love the road, but our history is really more on those off-roady kind of disciplines. So, they might be sneaking in a little more. Bike packing might be sneaking in a little more. I'm really excited for what's coming up.
Yeah, totally. And, what won't change is just like our excitement and stoke and sort of insider look at what professional female cyclists are up to. And the space keeps getting bigger and the stories keep getting better. And so, yeah, we thought, well, we kind of have to expand beyond the road. And Lael's a great way to sort of tee that off, I think, for next year. She actually has been doing a lot of riding on the road. However, she laughed because she did a road race in Tucson that was 4 hours. And, she's used to maybe like 4
months?
Days, 4 months.
Weeks, yeah.
Yeah. As ultra as it gets. But it was a fun chat, and it was fun to be back behind the mic. And we are all 4 of us hosts are so excited for the year to come.
Yes, so definitely make sure you are following along wherever you subscribe to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. And if you are listening, definitely leave us a rating review. Let us know what you enjoyed last season. Let us know what you want to hear more of because we are planning the calendar as we speak. All right, with that, happy holidays. And let's get into this episode with Lael Wilcox.
Oh, I was just thinking how last time we recorded an episode of the Queen Stage, I was in tank tops and shorts and the windows were open, and looks like our guest here with us, Lael Wilcox, is enjoying a little bit nicer weather than maybe we are. Lael, before I introduce you, why don't you tell us where you are calling in from today?
Yeah, I'm actually in my front yard in Tucson, Arizona, and just got back from a trip yesterday. And I mean, this time of year, I just love being home. It's so nice. It's probably about 62 and sunny, but that's chilly for here,
Right.
which is crazy.
I feel like everyone listening to this is just going to resent you so much right off the bat.
They're welcome to come. Actually, the cool thing is I've lived here for about 8 years, and I ended up here just by chance. We were passing through. I thought I was going to move to Austin, Texas to help a woman open her restaurant. And then we stopped and went for a bike ride with a friend, and he invited us for another one the next day. And then I turned to Rue and I was like, I think we should just stay here. This is awesome. We could get a job at a restaurant here. So we did. We worked at a pizza place. We were like the 2 employees. So it's either one or the other of us. I thought it was going to be great because we'd work together. And then turned out it was full time. And that was 8 years ago.
Wow, I didn't realize you'd been there for that long.
I know, isn't that cool?
And now you have your parents followed you, right?
Yeah, they did. So I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, and my grandparents used to snowbird to Phoenix or to Scottsdale, and so we'd go visit them there, but my folks never loved it. And then I moved to Tucson and they started coming visiting here and they were like, oh, this is great. And they bought a condo 3 miles from me.
Aw.
So I love it so much. They actually went back to Alaska for the holidays, but otherwise they love it here. And my mom was, I'm fourth generation Alaskan, and she was like, I'm never leaving Alaska. I don't know why people would do that. And then they bought a place and she was like, we should have done this 10 years ago. So it's cool. It's good.
Okay, what is it with Alaska? I mean, we have Kristen Faulkner. What is it about it that just like creates incredible women cyclists?
You guys will love this. I'm actually going to San Francisco to ride the coast with Kristen next week.
Oh,
cool.
God, amazing.
Isn't that cool? And I've never met her.
Wow.
Oh, that's so fun.
Even cooler. But then my mom was like, oh, well, you have to tell her that I grew up down the street from her dad, which is
my
true.
God.
True.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. But Kristen grew up in Homer.
Right.
So that's like 4-hour drive from Anchorage because Alaska is so spread out. That's the thing. So it's like very kind of isolated pockets. Everybody goes to Anchorage because it's the big city. It's like 300,000 people. But Anchorage people don't necessarily leave their town. I didn't too much when I was a kid either. Yeah.
I don't know. Is there something about growing up in Alaska, though, that like makes you this intense, incredible cyclist? Is it mental toughness?
No.
Is it physical toughness? Is it the cold?
Sometimes I think it's there are fewer people, so people are more kind of like, oh, you want to try something? Just give it a go. And there's less doubting. It's like, oh, see how it goes, and then you try stuff and it doesn't go well and you just do something different. But there's a little cycling culture up there, but not big. So I'm surprised I ended up doing it. And I'm surprised Kristen ended up doing it.
Because neither of you grew up doing it. You both started
No.
riding after you'd left Alaska and were living in, various other places.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we both kind of fell into it in a way.
But yet Alaska is so much a part of both of your stories, despite the fact that it wasn't really part of your bike origin story.
Yeah, that's totally true.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think culturally it's, people maybe are used to kind of a harder life because it's tough, it's cold, it's isolated, it's remote. But we're surrounded by beauty. So how lucky.
So lucky.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is a good place for me to stop and introduce you really quickly before we totally segue all the way away. But since Queen Stage is a women's cycling podcast, not a bike packing podcast, we figured that some of our audience might, they might not know who you are. And rather than me reading off your, ever lengthening list of accolades in the sport of ultra distance bike packing, I thought maybe you could introduce yourself sort of along the lines of like, say you go back to a high school reunion in Anchorage and people are like, so Lael, what do you do for work? How do you answer that question?
Yeah, that is a hard question. I mean, I guess I would say I'm an ultra distance racer. So anything on the bike, usually at least 350 miles. And then these have been a combination of, racing head on, something like Unbound XL, that's a single day, versus last year I set the Guinness World Record for riding around the world. Got into the sport super late, commuting to work, then riding across the country, then traveling the world for 7 years with my partner. And that's when I met Betsy. And then, let's see, I was at this point, everything kind of happened at once where I started racing these bikepacking events, which means you're generally self-supported. It's a mass start. They're like across the country or down the Rockies. And then whoever gets to the finish line first wins. All time counts. So, you win the race in like 2 weeks or something like that. So I was drawn to this and never saw cycling as a sport, but I thought, oh, what a cool adventure. And I'm really competitive. So I was like, I think I can beat these people. And then I just like got such a kick out of that. But then so started racing. Then I was also doing kind of my own trips and then route building, which is a huge thing in bikepacking, sharing cool places to ride and information about that. And I also started this girls program. And that's when I think, Molly, you sent me a book. And this is actually the first time I've ever seen your face.
I know, which seems so bizarre. It's the like East Coast, West Coast of it all, I think.
Yeah, that's probably it, because I don't end up in the East much. Yeah, and then so we were doing this mentorship program to get 12 and 13-year-old girls out on a bikepacking adventure. You know, they hadn't ridden more than 3 miles, and then at the end they ride like 60 to a glacier. And I mean, I guess I was piling all this stuff on, and then it worked out. And then I moved down to Tucson with Rue. Rue, we met in Alaska 'cause she worked for a newspaper, and then we started working together, kind of making videos, sharing stories about the stuff that I did. And then that was kind of the transition point when I could do this for a job instead of just my passion. And then I guess it's become kind of both. And I just keep getting busier, which is driving me crazy. I mean, I love all this stuff, but it definitely makes me really scattered.
I can't even imagine what like the spreadsheets and calendaring and emailing and all of the stuff must look like for organizing something like the around the world record type thing. Can we talk about like what the planning looks like for that?
This is so funny. You'll like this. That last time it was like all I did really was make sure I had a route that kind of followed the rules, hit the distance. I trusted people that would make it something I liked, and I wanted to make it like as beautiful and as interesting as possible. So I added like kind of iconic mountain passes, going through all the major cities, all the stuff. And then I was like, that's it. Okay, I've got a route. And then I didn't plan anything else besides just make sure I had a bike I liked.
Which
is a huge no, people are like, oh, that makes me feel like I'm going to throw up. But for me, it's easier because I'm like, oh, I just like in the morning, look where I kind of think I'm going to get to and look on like booking.com and see if there's a place and then book it. Sometimes in the start of the trip, I wouldn't look until I was like sleepy. And then the further on, I was like, oh, I'll look in advance because now I kind of have a sense of how far I want to go. But I carried a sleep kit. I carried, minimal tools and stuff to charge my devices. So I had what I needed in case like it didn't pan out to get to a hotel or Airbnb or something like that. Because I did want to sleep. So I had that stuff and I just had it on the bike. And then beyond that, I was like, okay, whatever, it'll work out.
Okay, I think we have to pause again because here we are just casually talking about a bike trip around the world. But like, let's zoom out here quickly. Lael also, when she was introducing herself, casually mentioned setting a Guinness World Record last summer. That is the bike trip that we're now talking about, where she was just booking hotels, when she got sleepy. So last summer, Lael broke the Guinness World Record for the fastest circumnavigation on a bicycle by a woman. Mm-hmm. And that took 108 days, 12 hours, 12 minutes ish.
Yeah, totally.
So what makes it funny is that sort of laissez-faire approach of like, I had the bike, and I had the route, but other than that, this summer she's attempting to do something quite different and quite the opposite. Right. So we were hoping you could talk a little bit about that. One of the things I will say for readers, or excuse me, not readers, listeners, who may not have followed Lael's Around the World ride last year, is that what became perhaps, the biggest story alongside the record was that Lael invited people to come out and ride with her. So wherever she was going the next day, it was, she mentioned it in a daily podcast or on her social media account so people could come out, meet up, ride alongside for as long as they wanted. And consequently, I can't remember what you said, Lael, but like you were not alone for much of this ride.
Well, I was alone probably for about half of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I'd say half with people, half solo. but none of it was really planned. But I did have a route and a tracker so they could see my location
Right.
and then, hunt me down. And I mean, this was the most fun part about it. I thought of this, I think, a month out, and I was like, oh, this would be fun.
And
You know,
you said it was like the best part of the ride.
totally.
But upon reflection, it sounds like in these last couple of months you've thought to yourself, okay, that was awesome, and wow, I wasn't really going as fast as I could have. Like,
Totally. So here's the thing with this. And like this first ride, going into this, I thought, oh, this is the only time I'll ever get a chance to do this. Let's do it up. Let's make it interesting and fun riding for me. Let's invite everybody and let's see what happens, and because it's expensive to do this kind of thing, it costs a lot to travel around the world. The main thing behind this is, okay, you have to ride at least 18,000 miles, east or west. You take flights or boats in between continents, and that part adds up, to flying from the US to Europe to Australia. It's a lot of money. So I was like, okay, this is a big deal just to get to do it once. But then what I realized after I did it, Rue, my wife, put together this beautiful film. We went on a tour to screen the film. I think we did 12 or 13 screenings in like, I don't know, a month. So hectic. It was so cool though, like all over the place. And then I watched the movie 12 times and I was like, oh my God, I stopped all the time. Because I did.
yeah.
People came to ride with me, but also people just were like standing on the corner with like a sign, like a little kid with the drawing that he had made for me with his mom. And so of course I stopped. I mean, come on. But then I was like, well, if I didn't stop all the time, then I could have ridden so much more. Because I also looked at the numbers. I was like, okay, I rode 12 hours a day and I was off the bike 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And usually for when I'm doing something competitive, I am riding a lot more than that. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I can ride more than that. The main thing with this last run was I prioritized sleep. I was like, I'm going to sleep at least 7 hours a night. I'm going to try to ride 170 miles a day, and then we'll see what happens. And then I saw the split. I was like, oh, I could definitely ride more. If I didn't go through all the big cities, I wouldn't be stopped by all this traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I maybe overdid it with the climbing because I climbed like 660,000 feet.
And there's
And
no
that,
climbing minimum for the record. You can go
no.
as flat as you want.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I did that because I like it, but also it's a lot more work. The
Yeah.
the guy who has the record from 2017 climbed something like 440,000 feet, which is cool. I mean, I saw that and I was like, oh, great. At least there still is some climbing. Because
Yeah.
I'd be so sad to like just ride a pan flat route. I don't
Some
like that.
climbing. Some
Yeah.
climbing. Only.
Well, yeah. So I look at all these like different angles of it and I was like, oh, I got to give it another go, And I don't regret the last one because it was so cool. I mean, it was so fun. It was so full of heart, especially at a time when I think, even now it's like we need good stories. We need to see good things. We need positivity because there's a lot of grim realities. So that was awesome. And I think I can take some of those good pieces into the next one. Like people are welcome to ride with me. I just can't stop, and I can't go through all the cities because it takes too much time, but they're welcome to come out.
The next one, why don't you tell everybody what the next one is?
Yeah, the next one is so there's a Scottish guy, Mark Beaumont, has the men's fastest circumnavigation, and it's 78 and a half days. So for the next one to actually hit that number, I have to ride 230 miles a day. But I can do it fully supported because that's how he did it too. So it's like then I'm putting together a little team, have like a follow RV and kind of be a little bit more on it. But I feel pretty confident that I can do it. It's just a long time to stay focused, but I mean, this is the craziest part of it is like after I did the first one, I had like the totally new fitness level because like somehow I kind of absorbed the whole thing, which I didn't expect that to happen. I thought I would like want to throw out my bike and move on with my life.
Yeah.
And then I was like, actually, I love riding more than ever.
I think it's really cool, even though you didn't know you were gonna do it again, I think it's cool you did it the way you did it first, because if you'd done, like,
Totally.
the speedy, crazy, like, you might not have ever wanted to do it again if you'd done
Totally.
that one first.
Totally. And that's like the first one is kind of the me version,
Right.
but I'm also really competitive. So I'm like,
This
"Ah,
is
I
you
have to
too.
do it again." Yeah,
Yeah,
this is me too. It's like
for sure.
there's the smiley nice person and there's the like crazed I have to win. And I mean it's not usually like every race, but there is something about this ultra stuff where I think this has always been a real motivation for me is getting the overall.
Right,
I'm
not just
like
Yep.
women's, yeah.
I'm not like ruthless in a women's field, but overall sometimes I kind of am because I'm like this is because like growing up, it's like people think women can't do these things and I think it's still really important to show that we can. Um yeah, I don't know. It's classic battle of the sexes stuff and it's cool. And this like conversation is expanding, it's like but the cool part about bikepacking is like there's room for all of it. There's no prize money in this stuff. There's no prize money in a Guinness World Record. You just do it because you want to do it, So I'm not like taking away from anybody else. I'm saying everybody's welcome to do this and let's like just open it up.
Okay, so what happens if you get the overall? Do you get the Guinness record? Like, do you get his record, or does
Well,
he actually
I
stay
mean,
in the record book and you get the women's, but it's faster?
I think that's how it goes, which I think is
Interesting.
so cool. I mean, but also then it's just like there's only one category at that point, which
Hmm.
I mean, what a chance, and I think then somebody else comes and beats mine next year or the year after, fine. That's records.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
care. I don't have to keep it. I just want to go for it.
I love it. Okay, you've talked about being competitive. I have to ask, how do you stay mentally locked in for literal months at a time? Because, like, I'm like, this is a call full of women who do really dumb, ultra y things, I'm gonna say. But, like, I don't think Betsy and I really compete longer than, like, the 24-hour mark, really.
I know. I don't know. I don't really know, but I just do. I think maybe now giving myself a little more grace. I sleep a lot more. Oh my God, I've gone. I used to kind of do this stuff in a very like deprivation way
Mhm.
where I was like, I don't need anything. I don't need
I've been
sleep.
with you
I
on
don't
those
need
trips.
water. I don't need anything. And
Yeah.
then I've gone like the polar opposite this year. Like I raced across Europe it was a road race and I rode a gravel bike with a suspension fork. So I was like, I want to be more comfortable, bigger tires. I slept more than everybody else. And I think I ate more than everybody else too. I was like going mega calories, mega everything. And then now I'm reflecting on that, thinking maybe I didn't need the gravel bike. I even made my route. This was like you make your own route. And I like, instead of going around the Basque country, I just went straight through it. Through the Pyrenees. Like we had to go through part of the Pyrenees, but I added on because I was like, oh, this is cool. Because I'd never ridden there, I was like, I want to ride there. But then, you want to win that race, you don't do it like that.
But
But I mean, I think I've gotten to a point where I'm just like, I really also just really want to feel great on the bike. Because I felt bad on the bike for a long time. I know how that feels.
yeah, that was one of our questions was sort of like, has the wisdom of aging, is that happening where,
I think so.
yeah, you can't do what you did when I met you 10 years ago. Like, I mean, you can, but it looks a little different, I think.
Yeah, I know. I gotta recover more. I'm older. I'm turning 40 next year.
Oh, will you turn 40 during the trip?
Yeah.
Yeah, you will. Oh.
I mean, so that's cool. And
That's
then
cool.
yeah, I'm taking better care of myself in
Has
general.
are you training? Do you have a
Yeah.
coach? Are you doing
No.
specific things?
I am doing specific things. I think at this point it's like my endurance base is there.
Yeah.
that part's fine.
Yeah.
And so then I'm trying some different things. Like I live in Tucson, so whenever I'm home, I ride the shootout every Saturday. It's like the biggest group ride in the country. It's been going for 40 years and it's like full on race, so I do that. I rode El Tour to Tucson a couple weeks ago and it's like 11,000 people. And then it's the 102 miles. And, this year I finished in like just over 4 hours. I mean, that's crazy. That's like, then I'm like, oh, I can see why people are into road racing. This is sick, but also
Over in
hectic.
4 hours.
I avoided like 3 major crash possibilities.
Sure.
I was like, this is really hectic, but it's really fun. I can see why people do that. But like, so I'm working more on speed. And then I actually asked Ian Boswell, I was like, well, what do you think? What other things do you think I should do, for structure? And he's like, low cadence work and then just focusing on average speed. So so that's like positioning, momentum, that kind of stuff. And then I'm like, oh, this stuff really makes sense because it's like the Saturday ride's like a power clearing lactate, keeping up ride. And then low cadence is like building my structure. And then the speed is efficiency. And then I'm like, if I just focus on one thing when I'm doing structured training, then it'll help everything, So I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. This is enough structure for me. I more than that, I don't know if it would be good for me. Not like
I mean, that said, do you have any big training rides, trips, events before you take off around the world? So
I'll do
again?
like a test run in early March. And that's also for the crew.
Right.
Because I'm like, how to see how these people work with each other and, what they can do. Because I'm not worried about my riding, more as like, how are they able to support me? Because I don't do that very much, So this is more of a team event, but it's cool. I mean, the crew's like Rue and her mom.
Her mom's coming? That's awesome.
I think so. Her mom's a massage therapist, and I think she's going to come on as the massage therapist and the cook. Because also, like, she's a really good cook. I like her food, So I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. And then another friend of ours from Vancouver is going to be the project manager because her background's like TV production. So it's like a lot of variables dealing with like a lot of the weird things that come up. And then her dynamic with groups is so good. And she's so positive. We did a couple projects with her this summer and I was like, oh, she's perfect for it. And she's a bike packer. So she like understands, So, and then we'll have like local drivers in different continents and a mechanic. In that piece, I'm still kind of working out. Because sometimes I'm like, it'd be so cool to have a full, like, female trans crew, especially if the mechanic was. But I don't know if I'm, I also have to focus on like, I love stories, but I also just want to get this record. So I can't like overcomplicate it.
And speaking of that, is Rue going to be documenting to the extent that she documented the last one?
The whole thing with this is like, this is much more of a Rue. She was the one who was like, we have to do this. She's like, Lael, you can do this. We have to do this. And I was like, I was pretty burned out. I was like, the end of this season, I was so smoked. I'd done too much. And I was just like, and then Rue's like, we have to do this. And then she's like, I was like, okay, but I can't be project manager for the next one. It's too much for me because it's like, it's overwhelming, first of all. And like, I am not an organized person.
I mean, that makes total sense that for this one,
I'm like, I want to be the rider. I don't want to be like team leader, project manager. And of course I do still have to be team leader because I'm like, if my morale is bad, it's like, it like just colors the whole team. So it's like, I know I do have to like be strong, but I'm like, I cannot like do spreadsheets, do the details. I'm like, this is just
realized
crazy.
Bike packing is being a project manager. Like everyone who does a bike packing race is a freaking That's
Well,
such a
some of
good
them
way
are
to put it.
so good at it too, though.
Yeah. And
Like
enjoy it. Like love
yeah, right. And then some of them are like me, where it's more like, go and figure it out.
on the fly.
You
Yeah.
kind of need both of those qualities though, because things always fall apart, so you need to not be so strict on like, this was the plan and, now I'm like broke my derailleur or something. Like you have to be able to kind of figure it out and move on, or also forgive yourself for making mistakes, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask you have Rue as your crew person. How is it working this closely
Oh.
with your wife in these situations that like I can only imagine have some fraught moments?
I mean, the thing is, like, Rue is, I think, maybe more motivated than I am when we're working, because she gets such a buzz out of, shooting and doing the stuff on the fly. She's in her element. She likes that. She's like going. She slept less than me last time. Because, we're recording this daily podcast and then Rue has to edit it. And she didn't have a driver for most of it. So she had to drive herself around and figure it out. I mean, Rue's the drive around the world project was so much more complicated and harder than mine. So then I'm like, oh, for the next one, then she has some support that's way better, you know?
You really need a like someone doing a documentary about her doing the documentary. I would love to see that.
I know. I think Alexia, our project managers, she's actually pretty good at shooting some BTS stuff. So that's cool. She's got that. And she's Gen Z. We need that.
Tell you all of the slang, use all the right hashtags if we're still
Oh my
using
God.
hashtags.
Talk about wizards on the phone. I'm like grandma taking a photo with my iPhone.
But they are scared of making phone calls, so there is that.
Yeah. Phone calls are way easier than other stuff.
I did get yelled at the other. Apparently, I'm taking selfies wrong by taking them with like the screen in front of me. You're supposed to now like put it on like 0.5 and turn the camera.
Oh,
and, like, do
so you
this.
get the wide?
Oh, I mean, even I know that, and I think I'm the oldest one in the
I've never done that.
I'm like,
Not
I
once.
know it, but they don't come out good because I have no idea where to point
Because
it.
it's not focused on your face.
I'm like, I know the theory, but the execution is just over my head, apparently.
Okay.
I mean, probably when I met you, Betsy, I didn't have a phone.
You might have had a flip phone, but we were in Mexico, so like whatever, it didn't matter.
Yeah, but now it's like my job is to have a phone big time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how has that evolved? Like the whole, can you be a professional cyclist without a smartphone?
It'd be hard.
It would be.
You could. It'd be hard. I mean, that winter, or maybe when I met you, I just gotten my first smartphone because I think my mom bought me one for Christmas that year. Something like that. And then I immediately wrecked it. I fell in a puddle, and this actually phones have gotten a lot better, but it was like totally dead. And then I was like, well, fuck, I'm back to no phone.
Speaking of a phone, which is, we can consider equipment, when I met Lael, she was arguing with her partner about a sleeping pad, whether to buy one or not. And she was just like, he was encouraging her to, and she was like, I'll just get a Mexican blanket. Like, I'll just sleep on a Mexican blanket.
I mean, I used to love doing this stuff. I think that was because I didn't want to go to the store.
You didn't want to go to REI?
Yeah. Sometimes like, I just don't want to go there. Just don't want to go there. But then, yeah. But then I did like a time trial right after that trip and I brought nothing and I froze. I ended up actually literally buying a pair of cotton sweatpants and a trash bag. And that was my sleep kit. And that was I learned a lot. That was a big mistake.
Let's talk about equipment and mistakes. Yeah. I think for a lot of people are bike packing curious, and there's never been a better time to be a bike packer. I mean, the equipment is
it's
incredible.
So good.
And you've seen and been involved in the evolution of equipment. You've been working with Reveille in Alaska for a decade, right?
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. How can we start with equipment? And how?
I think the thing with equipment is, I mean, and the bikes themselves, whoa, they're
Right.
so nice. They're
Yeah.
so good. And I work with so many good companies. Uh, but I also think, like, zooming back from that, there's tons and tons of good equipment. So you can't really go wrong, which is cool for this sport because you could spend a ton of money, but you could also just make stuff or get away with random stuff. And I've seen a lot of that too. And I'm like, cool. Then you try it out. And I even did this myself where I was just like, well, I don't need anything, trash bag. And then
Right.
you're like, that didn't go so well.
And you
And I
learn.
think that's
Yeah.
also been kind of my thing is always trying different things that I think are going to be great for me. Learning that some of them are and some of them really are not. But I think it's more going into like, this is with all cycling, going into the race or the trip with something you're like excited about, you think is going to work for you, not necessarily what you researched and everybody told you to buy.
And certainly too, like not to ever let equipment be a limiting factor
Yeah,
because you can still strap on kitty litter containers as
buckets.
panniers, you know?
Totally, totally. And the hardest part about bike packing is figuring out what bags actually fit on your bike,
Yep.
I think, so that's tricky. I think some companies are doing like lending libraries, or it's really awesome if they have a showroom or you can go into an REI and test them because it's hard to figure out what will work. I think that's why, these rack systems are becoming so popular because it's like a plug and play. But the whole point of not having a rack is because racks often fail if you're mountain biking, so this is very like gear specific, but it's cool. I like all this stuff, but you can also just take a bungee and strap a sleeping bag to your handlebars and call it good. Actually works pretty well.
I was going to say, outside of the garbage bag not working, what are some of the like favorite like cost saving hacks that do work that you've come up with?
I mean, so I take these girls bike packing and my big one for their sleep kit is dry bag with like 2 straps on the bars. That works really well. If you really don't want to figure it out, get a rack and put stuff on the rack. What else is cost saving? I mean, I'm sure I did this too, where you buy like those sunshades and use that as a sleeping pad because they're reflective. I did that. And they're light, but they're kind of bulky. Where it's worth spending money, I'd say, is getting a packable, lightweight sleeping bag. Because the thing is with bikes are compared to like backpacking, you're not as worried about weight because it's on the bike. You don't have to carry it in your back, but you can't have too much bulky stuff. So it's packability, like stuff being small and packable. The things you're looking for are packability, then probably durability, because you don't want the stuff to fail on you when you're out there. And then like how well does it perform is probably third.
Okay, so one of the questions that one of our co-hosts asked us to ask you is there's like the saying in bikepacking that you always pack your fears. So what did you pack when you kind of first started out of this bikepacking stuff that now you just leave behind?
I mean, I've done the opposite. I used to bring nothing and then I froze. Now I bring way more stuff because I'm like, I don't care about the weight. Doesn't bother me. And I used to be on the bike and think, I just want to throw all this stuff away, So then I did. And then I was like, oh, I actually need that. But I don't think I really brought, my first bike trip was in like 2008 and I had like a road bike from the 80s. And it was so fun. I was road riding. I just had a little front bag and a little saddle bag, and I was happy. And then I think somebody told me, oh, well, you should have a touring bike. So I traded that bike in for a super heavy steel touring bike. And I like had full panniers, front and rear, and I didn't even fill them because I didn't know what to put in there. And then I rode that bike for 5 years, and I never liked it. And then I got rid of that bike and I got myself this Cannondale Hooligan with 20-inch wheels, and I loved it. I was like, this bike is so sick. Because I was like, I'm going to Europe and I'm going to fly places and then bike places, and I can just put it in a bag and I don't have to pay for a bike. And I mean, a folding bike probably would have been good, but that was more expensive, so I didn't get one. And I was like, oh, this bike rocks. So Yeah, I think changing it up. If this is the thing I took away from it is like if you don't really like what you are doing, then just change it up and do whatever you think is going to be fun for you. And it might be like a 20-inch wheel bike or something else. And I see people out there doing all kinds of goofy stuff, but if they look happy, it's the right thing.
Okay, you seem ridiculously happy. Kind of like every time we see you. Like even as I said that, you have this like huge grin on your face. Did you have like especially during the around the world attempt, did you have bad days, bad moments, or did people around you just kind of make it so you couldn't really have like the grumpy moment?
No, I had some lows. I mean I think the hardest part was Australia. Because it was so I started in Chicago in May, and then it was summer in Europe, and then I wrote Australia and Turkey. Um anyway, then I crossed Turkey to Georgia, and then I went to the southern hemisphere where it was like the dead of winter. And I was like, oh, this is rough. It's like dark at 5 o'clock. And then I have to ride till 10. And so I'm in the dark a lot. The weather was pretty bad, like a lot of rain, a lot of wind. And I was like, oh, this is like on and on. And I think I rode something like 5,000 miles across Australia, maybe even more. I was like, I'm never going to get there. And it's really remote. I didn't like think about it before I went there. It's like the country is the same size as the US, and I think they have like maybe 24 million people. There's like nobody there. And I was like, whoa, this is like out there, remote, and it's dark, and the weather's bad. People were super kind, and people came and rode with me, which is cool, but that was hard. Turkey was hard because I was on like really busy highways, and it was really felt dangerous, sketchy. And I was like, ugh. When you're in a moment where you're like, I really wish I wasn't here, but I don't really, what else am I going to do? Like just quit. And I mean, the whole thing with this trip was I was worried about like getting hit by a car and killed. I was like, that's like the opposite of what I'm trying to do out here. So I felt pretty relieved finishing. I felt relieved that nothing really bad like that had happened.
You have to revisit either of those places, given like
Australia, I do.
you do, yeah.
Turkey, I'm going to just ride to Istanbul and fly out of there. And then, yeah, so I'm changing up my route. So this time because I have more time, kind of planning and trying to get a bit bigger budget, I'd like to ride more in Asia. So flying from Istanbul to Western Kazakhstan and starting from there, Kazakhstan, a little China, Mongolia, and then flying out of Beijing.
Cool.
Yeah, something different.
But that does not sound flat at all.
No, but that's okay.
And I mean, we haven't really mentioned it, but I am curious about how you approach like the safety element of it all because I mean some like we mentioned the cars, but also you're riding as a woman with like a literal live tracker on you. That
Yeah, I
seems
don't worry about that. Because I mean, this is kind of like people are worried about the safety of like bears or something. And I'm like, oh, a bear's not going to attack you unless it's like a serial killer bear. Same with people. It'd have to be like a pretty deranged person to like hunt me down like in a bad way. Mostly they're just excited to find me. I think the cars, that's really the risk, but then that's what goes into the route. It's like, are you taking secondary highways? Do you have a shoulder? And a lot of this stuff, it's like either you preview the route or you have good satellite imagery to check, or you have locals look over your route. And for the last one, like I don't have to be married to a route. I can deviate as I go. So if locals came and said, oh, this is really a better way, then I would just go their way. But as far as like human safety, I I don't know. I try not to go places where I feel like I'm really not going to be welcome. Like for this ride, I won't ride across Russia. The timing's not right, So stuff like that. So I kind of like go by instinct of what I think is good and also advice.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. I don't think you
Yeah.
could do this if you had a lot of fear or stress or nerves about really anything, because then you would just sit in your head all the time.
Totally. Yeah, I think so. I think But it's like everything else where it's like, well, the more you do this kind of thing, the more normal it becomes. I mean, I think the same thing when I look at people doing like downhill mountain biking. Like, how the hell do you do that? And it's like, oh, well, they've been doing it forever, so it's normal for them. There's always risk, but are you like comfortable with the risk? And then I am like for something like this, I am. For downhill mountain biking, I'm totally not. No way.
One thing I do love about your career and like the choices you make in racing and touring is, the Tour Divide is very different than the Trans Am or
Mhm.
the transcontinental or around the world. And I'm curious, you're from Alaska, you're not afraid of grizzly bears, or other things like, you've said like sleeping in a ditch doesn't bother you at all. Um and then right, you're riding across like through Istanbul. Like these are very different things. And I'm gonna do something I hate, which is like, what do you like better or like what's your favorite? But like
Oh,
'cause I
yeah,
know you can find it in all the things you do. But what do
yeah.
you like about these sort of different types of bike pack? They're really different types of bike packing and riding.
Totally. But that's what keeps it fun is to like change the discipline or change the place or, I think I go by like if something looks really exciting or there was a year where everything I did really scared me. And I think I was just in that mode where I was like just going after all these like really terrifying things. But they also ultimately, when I did them, like I raced, I did a rod on a fat bike or the first 350. When I was out there, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Because it was so surprising. And this like combination of what is happening to my body versus the ground and the exterior and being in like the race setting, I was like, this is cool. Um, so I think year to year it kind of changes like the motivation. I always want to ride, but it's like, why do I do certain events? Like some years it's more like I really believe in the organizers. Like are showing so much heart in what they do by making the route, by setting up the race in a special way, by making it feel welcoming to others. Like I'm like, oh, I totally believe in that. I want to be there for that, and then it's like when I come in with Rue and she's like shoots these beautiful images that shares such a story to people of like what that place is. They can see it or in video, and then maybe they're going to want to go there and either ride it for a trip or be part of the race. And I think that's cool too. So I've kind of different motivations, but there's always something. And every year I'm like, well, maybe I don't want to do it anymore. Because honestly, I mean, I think I've been at this for almost 20 years, which is nuts. I never expected that. And so I'm like, well, I don't have to do it forever. I mean, the fact that it even became a job was crazy cool. And then I don't know. I don't feel like tons and tons of pressure because I get the opportunity where it's like, the companies I partner with are like, well, what do you want to do? And then I kind of say, and they're like, oh, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's do a story about that. Or they don't, I feel like this is really unusual in cycling that you're not required to be at certain races or follow a certain program. I think they kind of let me do my thing. And it did go from super, super fringe to very fringe still. But, I've thought about this too. Not everybody can participate in the Tour de France, but everybody can go bikepacking if they want to. They can. And I think about this with the people coming out. Like, I don't want them to be fans. I want them to feel like athletes. It's like they are. So it's different. That's fun.
I love that. So, leading up to the next around the world attempt, what does lead up look like? Do we taper for it? Do we do a lot of like really big stuff before it? What's the
Yeah.
strategy here?
Yeah. So I want to do this test run in March. So like I think it'll probably be on the Southern Tier route, Adventure Cycling Southern Tier, just because of the weather. It's close to home. It's probably maybe about 4 or 5,000 miles. Is that right? Maybe less, maybe closer to 4. And then it'll be like a 2-week ride to dial in, like, can I hit the mileage and the sleep and recovery? Does the team work well together? Is everybody kind of in a rhythm? Is this sustainable, I guess? And then do that in March. So then I have a couple months to adapt, recover, get ready.
Sorry, a 4,000-mile test run just sounds like the funniest thing in the entire world, but it completely makes sense.
I know. I mean, I used to do this thing where I'd like ride to the Tour Divide. The last time I rode 4,000 miles up there, that I didn't give myself enough time to recover before I raced. The training is good, but the piece I was missing is the recovery piece and the adaptation. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I actually need that.
Yeah.
I need that built in.
See,
Yeah.
this is like the evolution of Lael's like training.
2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Because like it worked then, but like
it
you
did
learned,
work, but it could have been better.
It could have been better, and it probably wouldn't work now. So
yeah,
you're making it better.
Mm-hmm.
Very grown up of you, Lael.
I think so. I'm getting there,
Yeah, as we do. Are you doing the Iditarod again?
I wish.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I was like actually thinking, oh, I'll go up there in March and tour a bit, but that requires a lot more recovery. Totally. That's when I saw you last, Betsy. I think I just come off of that. I like raced this 350 miles, and then I was going down to a Rafa team camp, and I was so sick.
It was not good. You got swine flu.
Yeah, I got swine flu.
Oh, come on.
I was coughing up green gunk. And then the worst part was, so I saw you in Santa Barbara, and then I went back up to Alaska and rode more of it.
Right.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I get so excited. I just want to do this stuff, and the world's changing, and it might not be there later, and I might not be there later, I just want to do this stuff. But, yeah, I definitely have, like, more internal energy than my body can put up with.
Totally. And you said that that's sort of, for better or for worse, you kind of don't see, you see forward
tunnel vision
until you hit the wall. And when you hit it can be hard.
I hit it hard.
You hit it hard.
Over and over. I have I have zero perspective. I'm just like, and then I think that's why I've been such a good racer, is because my body falling apart, I don't get emotional about it unless I really can't go on. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really bother me. But I will say that I've been pretty miserable on the bike, just in pain. And around the world last time, I was in zero pain. I took zero ibuprofen, painkillers, nothing, because of the sleep. So I actually fully recovered every day.
Yeah.
And I was like, that taught me a lot. I was like, oh my God, what have I been doing for years? Mm-hmm. Cutting sleep. Like, I could actually sleep and ride faster. And so that's kind of what I've been at. Like, this past year is all these experiments with, like, well, how much can I sleep and still catch up?
What do you think, given what you have to ride, the 230 a day?
Yeah.
What do you think you'll be able to get most nights, sleep-wise?
Yeah, I think what this comes down to is to hit so I have to get 230 in the end, but I want to hit 240 every day because I lose time in the travel. But to hit 240, last time the whole trip, I averaged 15 miles an hour. And I think I can definitely do that again, because I won't be like stop start, won't climb all the passes, stronger. So 15 miles an hour, 16 hours a day. Then I still have 8 for everything else
to play with. Yeah.
So then I see, I have to have like bathroom breaks, but I have to eat more on the bike. I can't stop to eat as much.
Yeah.
But then it's like, in that 8 hours, how much can I sleep for that? And maybe I can ride a bit faster, maybe not, but I still have 8 hours.
Now, you mentioned an RV. Do you think you'll be able to just like bop into an RV and sleep for like big chunks of it? Like, do that instead of having to sort out
exactly,
go off to get a hotel, do this.
Right, exactly. So then the other piece of it that I learned is, like, last time I would, book a hotel, and then sometimes I'd have to ride to midnight, sometimes 3 a.m. Then I'd sleep 7 hours. Then I'd miss half the next day. So you really, have to optimize daylight because I ride faster when it's light out. And so then I cut it off when it gets dark, sleep, get up at 4 and go again.
Love it. And what have you decided on the dates? Like, are we avoiding Australian winter? How are we handling Australia?
Yeah,
impossible. You can't, but I won't ride as long of a route in Australia. I'll do more in Asia, so then less in Australia, and be like, 3,000 miles maybe instead of 5,000.
Are you going to come back to Alaska?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
I have to. I mean, I love it so much, and it's harder riding, but I ride so much better there because I'm, it's familiar. It's a place I love. Like, that's the thing is I flew back from last time in Australia, then New Zealand, then I flew back to Alaska, and I got such a boost from just being in home terrain. Even though it's like more climbing, there's more daylight. It's like light till 11, even in August. And so then I just ride better. But then I won't ride down the West Coast. Last time I rode down the West Coast and up the Route 66. This time I'll do more of like a diagonal through like the Northern Plain states, Canada. I think for the start bit, I'll start and end in Chicago again, but I'll probably ride all the way out to Halifax, Nova Scotia, and then fly to Europe from there.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Little northern route.
Yeah, and I've never been there. I got to do some new stuff. I don't mind repeating stuff, but I always get excited when there's something new.
Can people watch your Ruse film from last year's ride around the world? Where can they find that?
Yeah, it's on SRAM's YouTube.
Awesome.
And it's like 90 minutes, maybe a little bit less. Yeah.
Nice. And we'll include a link to that in the show notes. Okay, out of everywhere on the Around the World trip last time, I know, again, it's like asking someone to choose like our favorite child or dog or something, but like favorite spot, like what was the absolute, like the moment that you circle back to over and over in your head?
I mean, probably the best day was riding through San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
God, it was so fun. I had the most people come out. It was such a party. And it's, it's so beautiful. My dad grew up from that area, so I had family there, and then all these women that have been to the women's rallies that I organized, and just like this whole crew. And so and then just flying down the coast, and then another crew pops in Santa Cruz, and another crew comes out from Monterey, and I was like, this is so cool with school kids and stuff. I was like, this is so California. It's so rad. But I mean, there were so many good days and so many good people and so much beauty. And of course, I saw every sunset because I think I missed one when it was like 111 degrees out. I got inside, but otherwise I was always out there, and so saw a lot of beauty.
Love it. Okay, Betsy, do you have any last questions before we wrap up here?
No, I was just thinking selfishly, since this Around the World trip isn't necessarily open invite to come join Lil, I was thinking like sounds like you'll kind of be in Tucson all winter. So if I happen to make it out, maybe we'll get some miles in out there riding.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful now that I'm thinking about it. I'm like, ooh, with your route, maybe we can figure out some kind of like Queen Stage live broadcasts from
she
the
like
road.
blows by us in the background.
Yeah. And there
you know what? That's actually why I got these wire-in headphones, because I was like, I have got to stop pulling over to do phone calls,
do interviews,
like do anything like that. Cause I'm like, then I'll be like on the bike path and pulled over. Cause like, otherwise I'm like covering my ear. And then I'm like, actually that audio quality is pretty good.
It totally is.
So I'm like, phew, now I can just bike a little bit more.
We'll have to get you to call in from somewhere and just get even like a like snippet with Lael from Around the World for sure.
Oh yeah, I'd love that.
All right, where can everyone find you, follow you, keep up to date with all of the adventures?
I mean, I think probably Instagram's easiest and most frequent. Yeah, so just my name.
Perfect. And we'll include that and a link to the whole video in the show notes. And of course, make sure everyone's following along with Queen Stage as well. We have some exciting 2026 content coming. It's going to be another big year. Lael, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. This was so fun.
Yeah, great talking with you too.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course.